Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Game Plan. This episode is about the Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. If you're new to the program, I quickly run through the injury report. I run through the key stats, the key gambler stats. I'll explain those. Then I predict the game plan and the path to success for both teams. And then finally at the end, I project my fantasy football scores based on my computer algorithm I call RoccoBot. Before we dive in, if you could give me 2 seconds of your time for 2 clicks, a like and a subscribe. We want to become a YouTube partner so we actually get more features unlocked and make these videos better and more interactive. We could use your help for that. Just a little click for you is a big deal for us, so we would appreciate it. But the first thing I do is run through the injury list. There are pretty big names, I think, on both sides. I don't even have J.J. Watt, who's on the IR, listed anymore because that's kind of older news. But yeah, I mean, it's these two teams are similarly, I think, banged up. You see a couple wide receivers, including Chark and Westbrook for the Jaguars. You see Tashawn Gibson, Roby. I did list J.J. Watt. You got Tunzel. And that says tons in, and he's questionable. He's not out. That's wrong. He is actually questionable this week. So some bang up on both sides. We'll see how it shakes out. Key yardage rankings here. So I like to put position group next to position group. You see the pass offense for the Texans is 10th versus the pass defense for the Jaguars, which is 14th. Again, pass defense for the Texans 28th. For the pass offense for the Jaguars is 14th. Then you got run offense and run defense. The Texans are really good in both sides. Jaguars run offense is nice, but the run defense is kind of average and middle of the road. If I take all these and kind of aggregate and put these forward and look for an advantage, I'd say Houston probably has the edge in all facets, the run and the pass game, but it's a slightly narrow edge, and that's not surprising given where these two teams are in the standings at this point. If we look at the key gambler stats now, if you're not familiar, just quick rundown. Gamblers, the professional gamblers out in Vegas and everything, they like to look at a couple of key graphics. Your offensive yards per play, your defensive yards per play, see basically what the net yardage is, how long can an offense stay on the field, and then once they're on the field, how can they stay on the field, like third down conversions, fourth down conversions, and once they all get all the way to the red zone, how good are they converting touchdowns, and also you want to look at turnover margin. So quickly to run through, the Texans average 6 yards per play. The defense for the Jaguars averages 5.5 yards given up. If you take an average, that's 5.75 yards per play for Houston estimated, right? Then you look at the average for the Texans. They give up 5.9. The Jaguars get 5.9, so the average there is 5.9. So if you look at the yards per play, that actually swings towards the Jaguars, but it's not a big swing. It's kind of a narrow swing. Third down conversions, fourth down conversions, I would say that the offense for Houston converts 48% of the time. The offense for the Jaguars converts 33% of the time. And then you have similar breakdowns for the offense and defense. Again, a slight edge over to the Houston Texans. Fourth down conversions, the Texans tend to be a little bit more aggressive on fourth downs, and they do quite well. I would say fourth down conversion. Basically, the Texans are a little bit better at staying on the field. Once again, younger quarterback for Jacksonville, Gardner Minshew, who I like quite a bit. You understand why that would be. That's not a surprising thing to see. Then you look at the offensive red zone conversions, and you see that Houston scores a little bit more than Jacksonville does. Turnover margin, it's about the same. So what's the path to victory for both these teams? What are we doing in terms of a game planning? And I'll say that Houston, number one, first and foremost, Jacksonville's going to want to get Leonard Fournette going. Stack the box. Gardner Minshew has shown an ability to beat people with his arm, but that's really, I think, coming off of play action and because of run games going. If you can make Jacksonville a one-dimensional team and really force Minshew to throw, I think that's the path to success here. You don't want to basically, with the injuries in the defensive backfield for Houston, you don't want both the running game going off and the passing game going off. You got to pick your poison a little bit, and I would pick to stop Leonard Fournette if I was Houston. Be patient, continue to capitalize on red zone opportunities. Their red zone conversion's ridiculously good. I don't think they need to be aggressive this week with fourth downs. Don't run the risk of flipping the field. Just win the field position battle, matriculate the ball down the field. You'll have opportunities in the passing game and convert those red zone opportunities. They need some pressure to come off of DeAndre Hopkins. Kenny Stills needs to step up, or whoever, but they need somebody to step up there. And Carlos Hyde, I don't think he's going to be projected that well this week, so I'd like to see somebody else, Duke Johnson, basically come out in the flats and do well. Now, Jacksonville, what are you going to want to do? Of course, you're going to want to establish the run with Leonard Fournette. That's obvious. But Gardner Minshew, assuming that DJ Chark is okay, he showed up on the injury report. Gardner Minshew will be able to hit DJ Chark deep once or twice this game. So I like that matchup for Jacksonville. As with all young QBs, I talked about the third down percentage. Getting Leonard Fournette going is a big deal, but they need to have a backup plan in case they can't get the run game going. They need to put Gardner Minshew in third and manageable positions, 3rd and 4 or less, to keep Jacksonville on the field, keep that defense rested so that they can be better. They need to turn more field goals into touchdowns. I said red zone percentage, that needs to be better. Again, this is what happens with younger quarterbacks, and I like Gardner Minshew. This isn't a criticism, but they just have to basically, once the pressure gets ratcheted up and there's not enough space, and there's not a lot of space in the red zone because there are like 22 bodies and not that much field left. You need to squeeze the ball into tight windows. That's something that comes, I think, with a little bit of age. I like Gardner Minshew, but it's a challenge right now. And then Conley and Westbrook need to show up. It can't just be the DJ Chark show. Now, Westbrook is injured. I think that one of these two guys, Conley or Westbrook, will do well. If Westbrook is good enough to go, I think it's Westbrook. If he's not, then it's Conley. And if Westbrook can't go, Keelan Cole needs to step up as well. Moving on to my RoccoBot predictions, my fantasy football predicted analytics here. I have Deshaun Watson at a 23, Gardner Minshew at a 24, Carlos Hyde at a 9.1, Leonard Fournette at a 20, so I do not think that the Texans are going to be able to stop Fournette this week. Basically, if DeAndre Hopkins and Kenny Stills starts, I think DJ Chark, I mentioned Westbrook if he can go, he's a start. I'd like to see something more out of Houston slot receiver. Fells, I think, will play a nice game at tight end. I don't know that he gets in the end zone, but I think he'll be an outlet for Watson this week. Defense and special teams, I really don't like either one of these teams in this matchup. I think it'll be higher scoring. Yes, I know. I think it was a 13-12 game the last time they played and earlier in the season. I think there's going to be more points this time around in London. So we'll see what happens. But, that takes me through this episode. If you, agree or disagree or anything, please comment below. Let's have a discussion about it. If you think I'm missing somebody or if there's a fantasy or daily fantasy sleeper, I'd love to hear about it. But until then, I appreciate it. Once again, please like and subscribe, and we will catch you on another episode soon. Thanks, everyone.